Hello and welcome to another Power Automate desktop tutorial video. In this video, we are going to create a small task where bot will read data from Excel file and write into a Salesforce. So this will be a very small project which we are going to create today. And here mostly we are going to work with Excel and the web-based applications related commands. Before start, if you have not subscribed this channel, I'm requesting you to kindly support us by subscribing this channel and also like the video if you think this video is helpful and informative for you. Okay, now let's start. So in order to do that, let me show you what exactly we are going to do here. So this is the Salesforce and this is the input Excel. So basically the bot is going to read data from this Excel and it will create a contact here. If you click here, you can see. So this is basically a form where bot will fill the data which is available in the Excel. So it will copy like first name, last name, line by line, and it will create here. So in order to complete this task, we have to segregate our task. So it will be like, very easy for us to understand what exactly we are going to do. So I'm going to create a three different small task or module. So first task will be to create a login. So bot will launch the Salesforce and bot will log into the Salesforce application. And after that, we are going to create a task where we will read the data from the Excel. And third, the bot will fill that data into the Salesforce. So first, let me log out from the Salesforce and we'll start creating this Salesforce login task first. Okay, I'm going to Power Automate desktop and let's create a new flow here. Okay, so we can see here we have this main and the subflow. So basically main will be our master task where we are going to call our subflow. So I'm going to create a subflow for login to Salesforce. Let's put a name. Login to Salesforce. Okay, now in order to open a web-based application, we have to use launch browser option. So I want to open in Chrome, so I'll use this. If you want to open with any other browser, so that is available here, it's up to you. Okay, here we have to pass the URL. Okay, in order to log into Salesforce, we need URL, username, and the password. So let's keep those three things in the variable. So in order to create a variable, you have to come here in the variable section and click on this plus symbol. And here we have the option to create input or output type of variable. For this case, we are not sending or receiving anything. So let's create this input type variable and put a name as okay, so we have created these three variable. Now we will use those variable in order to create this task. So we'll go with launch new instance because we want to open Google Chrome and open the Salesforce. So we'll go with this one, and in place of URL we will select this variable, and the Windows state mode I want to keep it normal, and let's click on the save button. So once this is open, we need to write down our username and password. So let's do that also. So I'm going to use the recorder here. The recorder which is present in Power Automate desktop is very much capable and good to record task based on Windows based application as well as the web based. So let's use this. This will basically save our time. Otherwise, we have other options also available to capture and pass the username and the password. I'm just putting something like username, and later on we will replace this with the variable. Okay, so we can see, let's keep this on the top, and you can see here, so the place where we need to pass our variable is, this is the place where we need to pass the username. So let's select, okay, so now this task is completed. Let me close this. So here in this particular process, we are not going to keep more information like a log to file or the exception handling. We will cover those things in other video where I will explain you how to integrate or use exception handling mechanism. So those things we'll see in other videos. So let's test this code now. All right, so this is working as expected. Now another thing which I want to keep here, once the login is done, I want my bot to click here in the contacts tab and the new. So when we start actual process, so bot can start from the form filling part only, which will be available inside this. So let me do that also. Let's put a comment here, something like all right, so this task is ready now. And now coming to the main task where we are going to read this Excel, and because we have multiple rows available here, so we have to read this data and use a loop, so bot can loop through all the records which is available here, and the form filling part will also going to happen within the loop itself. So let's do that here in main task only. So here first let's call that uh, Salesforce task first here. So let me see. So in order to call any subflow, we have the options available here as run subflow, and here once you create anything that will be available here, you have to just click on the save and the task will be available here. So in case if you want to run this, it will run here directly. So let's put some comment here. Okay, in order to work with Excel, we have the Excel options available here. So with the help of Excel package or Excel action, we can do Excel related work. So first we can see here, we have so many options available, like we can launch Excel, we can get, insert or delete, etc. etc. So mostly whatever action we need to perform in Excel, everything is available here. Only thing is we have to identify which command is required and you can perform whatever you want to do. For our case, I want to read the data from Excel. So in order to do that, first I have to use this launch Excel because I want to open this Excel. So let's select this, open the following document. So let's get the path of the Excel file. All right, so now we have the options like if you want to make this Excel visible, yes or no, that's up to you. If you want to keep it as read only, so we have the button which we can use it. Here you can see here variable produce Excel instance. So here when we use launch Excel command for any Excel sheet or Excel file, it will automatically create an instance variable. So for example, if you have multiple Excel involved in a particular process, so how the bot is going to understand which Excel is, like, the Excel name or the instance. So basically this variable, Excel instance variable, will help bot to identify in which Excel bot has to perform the action. So here it's up to you. If you want, you can change or rename this variable as per your choice. Otherwise, by default it will give you name like this. So let's go with this and click on the save button. So this command will launch the Excel, and when the Excel is open, I want to read all the data. So in order to do that, we have option available here, read from Excel worksheet, and here by default you can see this Excel instance got selected. In case if you have multiple Excel, then you have to select the instance name based on the launch action command. So here, which data I want to read? I want to read all the available value in the worksheet. And here also we can see the variable produce. Here when we use this read Excel command, it will read all the data and store into a Excel data variable. Alright, so now our data is stored into this Excel data variable. Now let's see how we can read it. In order to read data, we have to use the loop, because this launch Excel will open the Excel and it will read and store data into this variable, and this is basically our table variable. So we will read data from this Excel. So I'll use this for each, and here I will select the variable Excel data. You can see this is data table variable. So let me click here, and when this Excel data variable will when we run this loop, it will also produce a output, and the output will store into this current item. Okay, so this is again a variable. It's up to you. If you want to rename it, you can rename it as per your choice. Let me click on the save button. Okay, now let's see whether this part is working fine or not. So I'm going to use a message box to display the information which is present in the Excel. So in order to read a value from Excel in message box, so we have to use the variable. First, let's put a message name as Excel data, and the message to display is, we need to select this current item, because when loop will start, it will store data into the current item itself. Okay, now we have the two options available here to read data from Excel. So if you see this Excel, we have column name and this index. So here the index will start from the 0. Okay, if you put the 0, then it will first read information from this column A, which is first name. So let's click on the OK button, and now let's run this. So for the time being, I'm just making this disable, and let me run this. So we can see it started from the first name column only, because we have not selected, like, first row is the header. So let's do that. So let's see where that option is available. If you go to the advanced, and we can see here first line range contain column names. So if you select this and save this, then it will start reading from the line number 2. Okay, now this way we can read the data from the index position. Now let's say I might have a scenario where this first name can move to column B or column C somewhere else. right? So in order to handle those scenarios, it's always good to go with the column name wise. Okay, so in order to do that, let's see, I want to read my data based on the column name. So you have to only replace here the first name, last name, whatever is there, and click here in the save button. Once you run this, it will read data based on the column name, not the index wise. So let's close this. Okay, so we can see it started from the row number 2. Great. So this is working fine now. So we have done with this login task, and we have also created a task to read data from the Excel file. Now, the next step which we are going to do is updating data into this form. So we are going to use the recorder, and in the recorder we will pass all the information from the Excel. So now let's do that. So this message box is not required now. I'm just putting something like first name, last name, then we will replace this with the variable. So at least we can understand for which field what we are going to fill. Let's record this in part wise, otherwise we might get confused. So now let's start mapping this. So we have first name, last name, and account name. So let's do that. Okay, so here what we are going to do, we are not going to create this many variables in order to store it, because we know our data is available in current row variable, current item variable, and we will utilize that itself. Okay, so currently it is outside our loop, and once everything is done, we will put inside the loop only. So here we are putting the first name, so let's select that. All right, so we have done with the recording part. Now let's do a quick run and test whether it is able to update the data or not. So let's test, is there any error is happening or it is running fine. So let's keep this inside loop. Okay, now one thing is pending, which is click on save and new. So that will do it later on, because once we click on save and new, it will store the data. So currently we are going to test this, and after that we will going to add that part also. So let me delete everything. Okay, so it is working as expected. So it has started filling next row which is available in the Excel. Now let's stop this and we'll put rest of the things here in the code. Let's record one more task or step to click here in the save and new button. So once bot will fill this information here, so it can click here in the save and new, so it can get this blank form. So let me do that also. So I have just removed all the data, otherwise it can create a record which will be duplicate record. So manually I have removed that. Okay, so this is not required, and this is the place where save and new click is going to happen. Okay, at the end, once everything is done, I want my bot to log out from the Salesforce. So let's do that also. I'm just going to record once again. Alright, so we have done with all the steps. Now let's do a final run and test. Before that, let me enable this. So I'm just going to closing this Excel and this browser, so bot can launch and log in from the beginning itself. All right, so we can see the process has run successfully and bot enter all the record and logged out from the Salesforce. So in order to check that, let's do that all the record has been updated or not. So you have to just go to contacts, and we can see here all the records are updated and available here. So with the help of this Salesforce and Excel, I have just demonstrated a small process. If you want, you can also practice this. You can get the access to Salesforce, and I will share this Excel, input Excel. If you want, you can go ahead and use this Excel as your input data, and you can replicate same thing in your own. So I'm sure this will definitely help you to understand how you can use web-based commands, as well as how we are reading the data from the Excel. So that's all from this video. I hope this video will be helpful and informative and able to make you understand. So thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you.